It's Richard Moore from Racing Profits Guides, and we're here at York Racecourse with James Brennan, the Head of Sponsorship and Marketing at York. Nice to see you today, James. Lovely sunny day.
It's a glorious day. We look forward to the season ahead.
And let's talk a little bit now about the development of York as a racecourse from a standpoint of view, because I know there's been a lot of investment over the years that York's been here. Let's go back right to the beginning. The first stand that was here, was it 1754, you said?
That's right. People will still be able to use it, or at least the lower story of it. It's now on the Champagne Terrace. People will recognise the balustrading building. That dates from 1754. An architect called John Carr was responsible for it. Probably the most famous of Georgian architects. Did the assembly rooms in the city centre, and also Harewood House, another of the great tourist landmarks of this fine county of ours. So 1754, grade 2 star listed building. Next time you have a glass of champagne, just look backwards and toast it.
And so that whole building was moved back there, was it?
It was. It used to be right on the racecourse itself. Think about it like Twickenham now do with debentures. It was a way of raising money by giving a place in the stand. So the original metal badges were effectively a sign that you'd put your guineas in to help build the first edifice that we then moved about 100 years or so ago to its current position just at the back of the Champagne Terrace.
So it was all funded by the original shareholders?
The original idea of being a county stand badge holder came from, you got your medal badge if you made a contribution, effectively still a debenture as it's known at places like Twickenham and Wimbledon.
Okay, and then we move on into the 1800s. 1890 was it the next big stand was developed?
That's right, and again, most of it is still with us. People will recognise that perhaps from the inside, the gimcrack rooms, which is the county stand dining room on a race day, a proper Edwardian feel, and that indeed shows its age. It was built during the height of the Edwardian period through the 1890s, and it's the building that I guess is the signature one here for us at York. It's got the red, white and blue barber poles, it's got the fretwork with the Yorkshire Rose, and you'll see that carried forward into our latest development. But it's a building we're very proud of, albeit over 100 years old, has some operational challenges.
Has a lot of maintenance, yeah. And then we move into the 60s, do we, when the next major period of development here?
Yes, a building that you can no longer see because it's been and gone. Think of a secondary modern school, then you're getting the image of what the 1965 stand, as it was aptly known, looked like. At the time,
5-tier, was it? The first 5-tier one here?
It was. I mean, it was a significant building and was a huge step forward, and it used the wonders of 1960s prefabrication to get us an awful lot of space for the then budget. By the time it was replaced, it was starting to show its age, and stand design had moved on in the intervening 40 years or so, but it saw great service, and many people will have fond memories of watching the horses through the late 60s, 70s, 80s and indeed 90s.
Yeah. And then we move on then to the Melrose. Was that the next one, the Melrose stand?
It was in chronological order. So the Melrose stand is the one that's the most northerly of our main stands. You'd recognise it by the red tiles, or it's the one that overlooks the parade ring. It was opened in 1989 and started out as fairly newfangled in those days, proper corporate hospitality boxes. 3 floors of it still are. We also fitted in a nice space for owners and trainers, which we redeveloped in 2010. So now the first floor is an owners and trainers bar. The second floor, the Melrose Club Lounge, which may be familiar to some of the people listening and watching, and the top 3 floors remain more or less as hospitality boxes.
And hospitality, yeah.
They are indeed. So I could point out, and that's where Her Majesty the Queen was based during the 5 days of Royal Ascot. So people often ask that question. So yes, she was in the Melrose stand, which allowed her to look both to the north over the pre-parade ring and effectively west over the track itself.
Oh, fabulous. And then behind us, obviously, there's the 2 newer buildings, the Ebor and the
Knavesmire stand.
The Knavesmire, that's right. Yeah.
So Knavesmire opened in 1996. In an era, I guess, where some people sneer about prawn sandwich eaters and corporate hospitality at racecourses, what I love about the Knavesmire stand is that it's a 2-speed stand, if you like. The lower 2 floors are, we still think, the best part of 20 years on, first-class facilities for grandstand and paddock racegoers. We were able to make that investment in the steppings and in the bars and in the general fit of the stand because we went up. So from the stand that preceded it, we went up 2 floors and created something that would generate a bit of revenue to help fund the place overall in terms of the Voltager restaurant as it is now, and again a floor of corporate boxes. But it all allowed us to reinvest in the wider site and at the same time improve facilities for people paying a tenner as it is now to come in.
And that was the initial conference facilities as well here at York, was it?
That's right. It's got some big floor space. The Voltager the Voltager restaurant will be familiar to people who've perhaps been to the business awards here
Christmas
or
dinners as well.
Christmas dinners. It's nearly 10,000 Christmas meals the guys did last
Wow.
December. So that'll be familiar to people, or from their even their school leavers ball.
Yeah,
It finds a use for that. The lower floors. Very popular with conferences and exhibitions. The biggest model railway exhibition in the north will inhabit the lower two floors of that stand every Easter.
Every Easter. And then the final one here then is the beautiful Ebor stand, is it?
It is Ebor from Eboracum, place of the wild yew tree, the Roman name for the city. If you're wondering where York comes from, as in the Viking centre, Jorvik was the Viking name, but Ebor is all the way we trace our history back to the Roman cavalry who used to exercise here on Knavesmire, so we would surmise. And that's where the Ebor stand and the Ebor festival comes from. Opened in 2003, so I don't know where the years have gone, that it's over a decade opened.
Beautiful, looks brand new, doesn't it?
It still retains that new feel. I don't think stand design has moved on quite in the same scale in the intervening 10 years, so it still feels pretty modern with its 6 lifts and its escalators. And we've done things like replace the televisions, so it's now flat screen televisions where there used to be those huge big boxes.
Those big boxes, yeah. Well, that's lovely. Thanks for the insight into the development of York over the years. That's great.